And now, ladies and gentlemen, from the heart of the Inland Empire, right here in sunny Southern California, it's Robert Cardoza Live, where we talk about politics, money, and you. This is the intersection of business and politics, and now here's your host, Robert Cardoza. And welcome aboard. I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to the intersection of business and politics right here on Robert Cardoza Live, where I do an honest, unbiased analysis of the issues confronting you today that affect the decisions that you're going to make for both your personal and your business life. I come to you every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time on Spreaker Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide. I also broadcast on Roar, 1776 Radio, and Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. And please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com for archives of all my radio and television shows, and you can access my show live right from my website each day simply by clicking on that little icon labeled Listen Live. Email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. And you can call into my show if you just want to comment or engage me in conversation about anything. You can call directly into the studio at 909-545-6516. Again, that number, 909-545-6516. Now, in today's show, we're going to discuss what's in the news, new legislation the IRS loses, and I'm going to answer your emails just like I always do. Today, my expert contributor is our own Ray Mailer with this series, The American Grid. And I've got a special guest for you, a good friend of mine, Brad Bernstein. Brad's going to talk to you about ACN, how you can make money and save money at the same time. But first of all, I want you to get ready for news. And just before that, at 4:02 p.m. Pacific Time, it is currently 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, that's down from 102 degrees. So, we've got 4 degrees going down, but it's on its way down to 68, and that's where I can't wait for it to get started. That's where I want it to be anyway. So now, as I said, get ready for news. There's a lot of it. Let's get right to it, because, boy, I'll tell you, it's just never going to end today. Well, 8 minutes ago, from the police, a man wielding a hatchet, gun dead at a movie theater. Yep, another movie theater. A man armed with a hatchet and a gun unleashed a volley of pepper spray at audience members inside a movie theater today, exchanging fire with a responding officer before being shot dead by a SWAT team as he tried to escape out the back door, police said. The attacker, identified as a 51-year-old white local man, was carrying 2 backpacks, one of which hung from his chest, and he wore a surgical mask, possibly to protect himself from the pepper spray that he unleashed in large amounts during the showing of Mad Max: Fury Road. Metro Nashville police spokesman Don Aaron said, he said 3 people were blasted with the spray and treated. There were 8 people in the theater, including the assailant, Aaron said. As he fled out the back door of the theater, the assailant encountered and exchanged gunfire with SWAT team before he was shot dead. Aaron said about 24 gunshots could be heard in about a 10-second period in raw video footage posted online by WKRN-TV. Well, you know what? What is it? What is it that is causing these kind of issues? I just don't get it. It's you ever think about what the heck is going on in the world today when we start talking about the theaters and all the garbage and all the stuff that's going on? I just don't get it. It's just sad. What kind of world do we live in where the only alternative for some of these people who have what I want to assume are mental issues, the only alternative is to kill them before they kill somebody else? It's just, I don't know where to go with it. Well, here's something from the sheriff. A ritualistic killings may be tied to the blue moon. Came in an hour ago, more than a week after the gruesome deaths of an elderly Florida woman and her 2 adult sons in what authorities suspect was a ritual killing. Neighbors and family today said they have many questions but few answers. Meeks Willard, who lives in the rural West Pensacola neighborhood where the Smith family was killed, said he was frightened and doesn't sleep at night because of crime. This is causing me a lot of stress, said Willard, who never met the Smiths despite living on the same street for years. Escambia County Sheriff David Morgan said Tuesday that authorities had identified a person of interest in the deaths of Von Seal Smith, 77, Richard Smith, 49, and John Smith, 47. All three victims were struck multiple times with a claw hammer, and their throats were slit. Richard Smith was also shot in his right ear. Morgan's office declined all requests for interviews today, saying only that authorities were awaiting on lab analysis of evidence gathered in an ongoing investigation. You know what? Is this a sick world we live in? Or what? Yeah, certainly is. Well, here we go again. In 49 minutes ago, from Obama, critics of Iran nuclear deal are selling a fantasy. President Barack Obama assailed critics of his Iran nuclear deal today as selling a fantasy to the American people, warning Congress that blocking the accord would damage the nation's credibility and increase the likelihood of more war in the Middle East. Besides challenging opponents at home, Obama cast Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu as an isolated international opponent of the historic accord, saying, "I do not doubt his sincerity, but I believe he is wrong." The agreement would require Iran to dismantle most of its nuclear program for at least a decade in exchange for billions of dollars of relief from international sanctions. But Netanyahu and some critics in the United States argue that it would not stop Iran from building a bomb. The president's blunt remarks in an hour-long address at American University were part of an intense lobbying campaign by the White House ahead of Congress's vote next month to either approve or disapprove the international agreement. Opponents of the agreement have streamed to Capitol Hill, too, to make their case, and they have spent tens of millions of dollars on advertisements. The stakes are high, Obama said, contending that it isn't just Iran's ability to build a bomb that is on the line, but also America's credibility as the anchor of the international system. You know, the choice that we face is ultimately between diplomacy and some form of war, Obama said. Maybe not tomorrow, maybe not 3 months from now, but soon. Obama's diplomatic overtures to Iran, a centerpiece of his foreign policy agenda, have put him at odds with the Republicans and some Democrats, as well as with Netanyahu, who has campaigned vigorously against the deal. Netanyahu and U.S. critics of the Iran deal say Obama is presenting a false choice between accepting the deal at hand and going to war to stop Iran from building a bomb. I think everyone in the United States knows that this president is not going to carry out military action against Iran, said Senator Bob Corker, a Republican from Tennessee, chairman of the Foreign Relations Committee. Iran knows that. Obama told Jewish leaders in a private meeting yesterday that he understood their concerns about being cast as warmongers, but he made his case even more aggressively today by linking critics of the deal to those who pushed for the invasion of Iraq in 2003. The conflict, now widely considered a mistake. You know what? It just keeps going on. Who do you trust? Who are you gonna trust, for Pete's sake? Are you gonna trust the Prime Minister of Israel? Are you gonna trust the ruler of Iran? Are you gonna trust foreigners? Are you going to trust the leader of your own country, the leader that the majority of people actually elected, the people that you gave the authority to, the power to negotiate treaties and deals with? Let Congress do their job and let them do the approval. But for Pete's sake, who are you going to trust? The other side? And if we just decide to just eradicate Iran, then does that make us any better than them? I don't think so. You want to hear more about this? Tune in tonight to John Matthews, the Conservative Syndicate. I'll be on his show about 6:15, and I'm sure this is going to be a hot and heavy debate. John is opposed to the deal, so is his co-host, Joe Hakos, and you know what? I support the deal. So tune in at theconservativesyndicate.net. You'll be glad you did. Now, don't go away. When we come back, I'm going to talk about that Malaysian leader. That debris that was on the island is from Flight 370, and I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And let's continue with the news. We got lots of it here today. And right up, the Malaysian leader. Debris found on an island is from Flight 370. This came in just 2 hours ago. A piece of a wing found washed up on Reunion Island last week is from Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 that vanished last year. Malaysia Prime Minister announced early Thursday, saying he hoped the news would end the unspeakable uncertainty of the passengers' families. The disappearance of the Boeing 777 jetliner 515 days ago, while on a flight from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing on March the 8th, 2014, has been one of the biggest mysteries in aviation history. Officials believed it crashed in the southern Indian Ocean, killing all 239 people aboard, but it is still unknown why the plane went down. It is with a very heavy heart that I must tell you that an international team of experts has conclusively confirmed that the aircraft debris found on Reunion Island is indeed MH370. Prime Minister Najib Razak told reporters. The French territory is thousands of miles from the area being searched for wreckage from the flight. U.S. and French officials involved in the investigation were more cautious, stopping short of full confirmation, but saying it made sense that the metal piece of the wing, known as the flaperon, came from Flight 370. Intact and encrusted with barnacles, the flaperon was found on a beach and sent to France for security for scrutiny by the French Civil Aviation Investigation Department, known by its acronym BEA, and members of its Malaysian and Australian counterparts. we now have physical evidence that, as I pronounced on the 24th of March last year, Flight MH370 tragically ended in the southern Indian Ocean, Najib said. You know what? Sad, but at least, hopefully, people could start getting some kind of closure. Because you know what? Until you know for sure, right? That's a pretty good indication. How about this? The Pope urges compassion for divorced Catholics who remarry. Wait till you hear this. Pope Francis's call today for a church of open doors that welcomes divorced Catholics prompted speculation over whether he was signaling support for easing the ban on communion for couples who remarry without a church annulment. The issue is at the center of an extraordinary public debate among cardinals from around the world who will gather this October at the Vatican for a synod or a meeting on the family, where treatment of such couples will be the key topic. He wants the church to get over a psychology that if you're divorced and remarry, that you're a lesser Catholic, said Philip Thompson, executive director of the Aquinas Center for Theology at Emory University in Atlanta. But it doesn't address the real issue of what is the path forward for Catholics who want to enter into full communion with the church. Under Catholic teaching, unless a marriage is annulled or declared null and void by a church tribunal, those who remarry cannot receive communion or other sacraments because they are essentially living in sin and committing adultery. Such annulments can take years to process if they are granted at all, a problem that has left generations of Catholics feeling shunned by their church. Catholics who divorce after a church marriage but don't remarry can receive communion. The Pope, speaking at his weekly general audience at the Vatican, underscored Catholic teaching on divorced Catholics who remarry without an annulment, saying, "The Church knows well that such a situation contradicts the Christian sacrament." But, he emphasized, these people are not at all excommunicated. They always belong to the Church, Francis said. The Church, he said, must be one of open doors. Wow. This Pope is just unbelievable. What a man this guy is. Wow. Well, here we go. Clinton tries to break through the Trump surge with GOP attacks. Yeah, had to come sooner or later, right? 10 Republican candidates for president in 2016 will debate tomorrow for the first time. Spend any time listening to Democratic frontrunner Hillary Rodham Clinton this past week, though, and it would seem like only one really matters. That's Jeb Bush. As billionaire businessman Donald Trump thunders his way to the top of the summertime polls, Clinton is instead focused on the former Florida governor as one of the most likely and potentially threatening Republican nominees. Clinton repeatedly slammed Bush by name yesterday, after he questioned spending public money on women's health issues, a more direct attack after she slyly stung him last Friday by using the name of the super PAC and slogan of his campaign, Right to Rise, to paint him as setting back the cause of black Americans. People can't rise if they can't afford health care. They can't rise if the minimum wage is too low to live on. Clinton told the annual meeting of the National Urban League as Bush waited in the wings to take his turn on stage. They can't rise if their governor makes it hard for them to get to college education, and you cannot seriously talk about the right to rise and support laws that deny the right to vote, she said. Wow. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to talk about the IRS losers. First case up is transfers of property were not to evade tax. I'll tell you all about that right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
The story you are about to see is true. The names have been changed to protect the innocent.
Oh yeah, here we are, my favorite part of the show, the IRS loses. As I mentioned to you first up, is the transfers of property were not to evade tax. David Jones owed back taxes to the IRS when he transferred a home that he owned to his mother and a warehouse that he owned to a corporation that he also owned. Now, 6 years later, he declared bankruptcy and sought to have his still unpaid taxes discharged. The IRS said that the transfers were an attempt to evade tax collection, making his taxes non-dischargeable. So he went to court. This is what the judge said. Jones explained that he had purchased the house for his mother to live in and that she had, in fact, made all the payments on it. Similarly, he had purchased the warehouse for his business's use, and it always had been operated by the business. So the transfers did not have a tax avoidance purpose, and his taxes are dischargeable. You know what? It just makes sense. The IRS is just always trying to get to you. Always, always, always. You know, they kind of forget what they're supposed to be doing, I think. They don't forget. They know what they're doing. In another case the IRS lost. A theft loss is deductible when reasonably certain. Yep, you heard me. A couple was victimized by a jewelry scam that cost them several $millions. Now, complicated lawsuits and insurance claims resulted, lasting several years. They claimed a theft loss deduction, but the IRS disallowed it, saying that the couple was entitled to no deduction until the year in which all of their claims for reimbursement were resolved and that their last recovery efforts had concluded. They protested, went to court. This is what the judge said. The IRS is wrong. A theft loss is deductible when reasonably certain. So the couple could take the deduction in portions over multiple years as the probable outcome of their various reimbursement claims became apparent. You know what? Just makes sense, doesn't it? What would the IRS do, really? Think about it. Let's say you take the deduction, and let's say you got your money back, right? Then what do they do? Then you pay taxes on the money. Big deal. You know what? But that's not the case here. They just wanted to make the taxpayer miserable. Let me give you another case here. The IRS loses. I love it when they lose. Just sends chills up and down my spine. Here's the case. Driving to jobs away from home is deductible. Here's the story. David Lease was a union millwright in Cumberland, Maryland. He took daily job assignments from his union at distant locations, averaged about 100 miles a day driving to them, and deducted his driving costs. The IRS's objection? Only driving to temporary jobs away from home is deductible, and one's tax home is one's primary work location. Since Lease didn't work in Cumberland, it wasn't his tax home, so he couldn't deduct driving from it to distant jobs. He went to court for some justice, and this is what they said. Lease had long worked in Cumberland until jobs there grew scarce, and that made it his tax home. Each of the distant jobs that he traveled to was temporary, so his driving to them was absolutely deductible. Yeah, it was. Okay, so here we are inside the IRS, but you know what? I'm going to kind of do a little bit of a twist here because I've got a couple of cases here that I wanted you to hear about, and I suppose it's more of an extension of the IRS loses, but there's one that they lose and there's one that they don't lose. So let me tell you about it. In this first one, a taxpayer can go to tax court without answering a deficiency notice. Let me tell you about it. Roger Shearer didn't file a tax return for his 1999. So the IRS properly mailed a deficiency notice to the address shown on his last filed return. But Shearer didn't live there anymore, and the U.S. Postal Service failed to deliver the notice to him, so he didn't learn about the tax assessment. Later, the IRS moved to impose a lien to collect the tax. At that point, Shearer requested an IRS appeals due process hearing in which he tried to contest the tax bill on the merits. Now, after the hearing, appeals held against him. Upon receiving the notice of determination from the IRS appeals upholding the tax lien, Shearer timely filed a tax court petition, but the IRS said that he had forfeited the right to do so when he didn't respond to the properly sent original deficiency notice. But here's what the court said. Shearer had never had a chance to make his case on the merits because he had never received the deficiency notice. The IRS appeals later refused to consider the merits of the case. Yet, he had cooperated with the IRS appeals, raised his argument at the appeals hearing, and properly contested the hearing's determination. So, his tax court filing is upheld. Now, here's the best part. And in fact, he won in tax court on the merits. You gotta love this stuff. You just gotta, it sends chills up and down my spine. It sends the hair up on the back of my neck. That's the only place I've got hair, but that's where it works, right? Let me give you one more here. Being a tax scam victim is no defense against the IRS. Now get this one because sometimes people try to say a bill of goods. Pediatric Affiliates was a medical services firm that initially paid its own payroll taxes by check. Then, new IRS regulations required it to hire a payroll tax service to send in the taxes electronically, and it hired PAL, that's P-A-L, data to do this for them. Now, Pediatric regularly sent to PAL the tax payments that it owed for transmittal to the IRS, but the owner of PAL created false tax statements showing a reduced amount of tax due, sent these and lesser amounts of tax shown on them to the IRS, and kept the unremitted tax payments, which he invested in a personal hedge fund. Now, eventually, the scam was discovered and Pal's owner was convicted of embezzlement. The IRS then levied on Pediatric's assets to collect its still unpaid payroll taxes. Pediatric protested that it had actually paid all the taxes that it owed and was an innocent victim in the whole situation. Went to court. You're not going to like this. A taxpayer is responsible for supervising the performance of an agent hired to prepare tax returns and make tax payments on the taxpayer's behalf. Now here, Pal was Pediatric's agent, and Pediatric is responsible for Pal's failure to perform. The taxes were, in fact, never paid to the IRS, so Pediatric still owes them, and the IRS can act to collect them. So you know what? Don't just assume because you got a CPA or you got a tax person that it's all going to be there. In a case like this, if they commit a fraud against you, you're still going to be liable. You're responsible for them. Now, do not go away waiting in the wings. Just one of my really, really good friends. He's been a friend of mine now for about 3 years. I'll tell you all about it when we get back from this commercial message. But boy, he's going to tell you how to make money and how to save money. And you know what? It just doesn't get any better than that, folks. So listen in. We'll be right back. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. You know, nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, you know Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Lineberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 4:34 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 98 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. That's down from 102 on its way to 68. I can't wait for the 68. But I got to tell you, I am so excited. I've got a gentleman waiting in the wings that I met about 3 years ago. And then we'll talk. You know what? Let me get him in here. Let me get him in here properly, and then I'll tell you all about that right after we get him in here. Ladies and gentlemen, this is a man that I actually met at an RBN meeting. It's a networking meeting in Orange County about 3 years ago. He's been on my television show, and he's been on a number of my radio shows, and we have become socially friends. We've become good friends, and he always helps me out when I have a problem, and this is one of those days I had a problem. The guest that I actually had scheduled for today couldn't make it, had an emergency. And this fellow has always been so kind to fill in when I had a problem. You know what? His name is Brad Bernstein, and Brad, you may even recognize that name. He was a race car driver for the longest time, and now he's also an executive with ACN, and he's going to talk a little bit about ACN and a lot of other things, but ACN is an opportunity for him to help you make more money and to save more money. So help me welcome to the show my good friend, which is most important than all, Mr. Brad Bernstein.
Wow.
Hey, Brad, welcome aboard, buddy.
Oh, thank you so much. Great to be here. What a welcome. Gosh, I'm humbled.
Well, I'm the one that's humbled. I really appreciate you taking time out of what I know is a very busy day, and I kind of threw a monkey wrench at it. And as usual, you are just a caring individual, good friend that accommodated my needs more than your own. So I want to thank you, and I tell you how much I really appreciate it.
Well, my pleasure, Robert. I'm glad it worked out. You know, I decided to take a couple of days off. I hadn't given myself a vacation in a little while, and your timing was perfect. Came in right towards the tail end of my vacation because I'm getting ready to go back to work. And, you know, when a friend calls, if you're a friend, I guess that's one of the tests of friendship. So thank you for the opportunity. Always glad to help you out whenever I can.
Well, that's super. You know, before we get started on ACN, because I know we want to talk about that for a while. And you know, it's been a while since you've been on the show, and so you know, the segments are a little bit longer, but there's only 2 of them instead of 3. But you actually have more time to talk, so that's a good thing. So I don't want you to worry about us running out of time. I'd like you to talk a little bit about the formula cars that you were racing.
Well, that's a huge story for me, and the truth of the matter is I had an opportunity to live my dreams. So what has kept me grounded and humbled is I've realized that I was able to learn some significant life lessons out of pursuing a hobby and a passion. I can't tell you exactly when, but I think it was somewhere around 5 years old. My oldest brother had taken me to a very grassroots racing event. I'm dating myself, but the movie Grand Prix had come out around that time, and I just fell in love with the romance of all things car racing. Indy car racing, Formula One racing. But I think as many of us go through a journey in life, I had the poster on the wall of this dream. You know, I had all the race cars on the wall, and someday I'm going to make that happen. I'm going to be in that race car or be around it. But the journey for me was not a straight, narrow path by any means. Life happens, school happens, college, career. And next thing you know, I completely forgot that I had this dream or passion for racing. It had completely died. And sadly, the analogy I see for myself and a lot of people is sometimes the dream dies for whatever reason. So fast forward to the late 80s, and I found myself in a position for the first time, actually after a significant business and financial disaster. A few months later, I found myself absolutely on top of the world, making what for me at that time, and actually even by today's standards, was some pretty crazy money. And so I bought into part ownership of a race car team. And here's the crazy thing. I have to look back in the mirror and laugh. I had no desire to drive the car. I had forgotten that I wanted to be a driver. I just knew I wanted to be around it. I've always been fascinated with the technology. And then I won a camera in a sales contest. And so I thought, well, I'm part owner of the team. I'll just appoint myself the team photographer. And I went to work along with my real estate and mortgage company doing photography for the Indy cars all over North America. And the interesting thing that happened, and this is a lesson, is I just team owners, crew members, and then one day the light bulb went on. I'm standing in the pit lane at the Long Beach Grand Prix. I'm rubbing shoulders with some of the biggest names in racing, and I thought, this is going to be crazy. Me as a photographer walking up and asking these people if they would coach me as a race car driver. And they pretty much brushed me off and blew me off. They didn't take me seriously. I didn't think they would. And, they asked me questions like, are you serious? Why would you want to do this? Do you understand the consequences? Great questions, wouldn't you think, for any endeavor? But when they ask what are the consequences, keep in mind, in some of my coaching, I ask people, what is the absolute worst thing that can happen on the job at work? Worst thing. And usually for most folks, that would be losing your job. However, in the world of auto racing, which is a tremendous sport, I mean, it's such a rush, it's such a pleasure. But obviously, when we talk worst case scenario, it's quite a bit different. So they brought that to my attention. But I'm sorry, go ahead, Robert.
You could lose your life.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty significant consequence, wouldn't you think?
Yeah, I mean, that's a big deal.
So, some of us race car drivers, if not all of us, have been told that we're crazy. We don't want to get hurt. We don't want to get injured. But when your passion is so big, you work over it, you work around it, and obviously I embrace all the safety features that we can. But what happened was I started getting coaching, and I started racing at a very elementary grassroots level. Go-karts, which are actually the doorway to racing in Europe and now kind of becoming one of the doorways for racing in the U.S. So whenever I had weekends off, and I had a very, very strong work ethic, so I'd work during the week, I would find a way to get in a go-kart and race somewhere and learn the fundamentals of racing. I worked my way up through the ranks from the 60-mile-an-hour karts to the 90-mile-an-hour karts to, believe it or not, we have these things called shifter go-karts with a 6-speed transmission, disc brakes, racing slick tires, and a 130-mile-an-hour top speed. And that'll get your attention in a go-kart. And just so you know, there's two kinds of race car drivers. I don't know if you've heard this before, Robert, but there's two kinds of race car drivers, right?
No, I didn't know. I guess
okay.
those that are alive and those that are dead?
Well, there's that too, but there's those that have crashed and those that are going to crash.
Oh.
And if you do it long enough, you're going to crash. Usually the consequences are not big. But I had a complete brake failure in a shifter go-kart at 130 miles an hour.
Wait,
whoa.
Hang on a second, Brad. Brad, hang on a second. Did you say you had a crash in a go-kart at 130 miles an hour?
Yes.
A go-kart, not a Formula car, a go-kart.
Correct. You can, you and the listening audience can just Google what a shifter go-kart is. It's a very radical, stout, insanely powerful, insanely fast go-kart.
Wow. I don't even know, because I'm picturing an old, I'm an old guy. I remember, and go-karts, I'm picturing them and nowhere near 130 miles an hour. I'm thinking that any kind of an accident at something like that is unsurvivable. But obviously, obviously you did.
Yeah, I guess I'm here, so things worked out. No, what had happened is I'd had enough minor accidents where I'd broken bones, cracked ribs, things like that. I don't mean to take it lightly, but in the whole scheme of things, those were not serious injuries. But I realized in an instant when the brake pedal went all the way down at the speed I was at, where I was on the track. I'll clean it up for the PG audience here, hopefully. But the thought that went through my mind was, oh, blank, this is going to hurt. And literally by the time I could say that, the crash, I ended up walking away without a scratch, cut, or bruise. And if I have the opportunity to share with you or any of the audience exactly what happened on the crash, that's nothing short of a miracle. But it was at that point that I decided to transition into cars. I still drive go-karts to practice. They're great for conditioning and reflex building. But I decided to get into cars. I just wanted a little bit more protection around me. Yeah. What I didn't really realize is that they're heavier and they go faster, which means when you do spin out, you're going to cover a lot more territory before you come to a stop. But it's all good. It's all good.
One of the things that I'm interrupting you now because we've only got about 3 minutes before we have to go to a commercial break. And one of the things that I was hoping that you would touch on in this segment was I know that you've mentioned the tremendous focus that you had to have and focus everything else out except for your driving when you got behind that wheel. I guess it's the same thing in the go-kart as it was in the car, right?
Oh, absolutely. And the idea here being, I'll just touch on it real quickly. It's so difficult to do outside of the race car. When you're driving the race car, your focus is absolutely 100%. I mean, it's intense, but one of the beauties of it is it does push everything else in life out. So it's relaxing within its intensity, if that makes sense. And one of the things I try to coach myself and others on is to bring a higher level of intensity to what we do, just a higher level of focus to what we do. Mm-hmm. But, nothing will be equal to what you experience in the race car. I would imagine a fighter jet pilot might experience the same level of focus.
Or intensity. Other athletes, I've heard that golfers and boxers and baseball players, other athletes, I understand, they don't hear the crowds. They don't even see the crowds when they're, when Tiger Woods gets up to approach the ball, he knows he's in a tournament, but all of a sudden the crowd and everything else disappears. He's totally focused on that ball.
Yeah, there's a level of focus, and I don't need to take anything away from any other athlete or pro athlete. So if you're in the audience, don't get mad at me. But I do believe that what raises the game and what I do and what the people in my sport do is, you could die.
Yeah.
So it just tends to raise the game a little bit higher.
Yeah, you're sort of like that astronaut at the top on the top of that rocket, right? And you're thinking about the fact that it was built by the lowest bidder, and your whole life now is on the line, right? So you're probably not thinking too much about the air conditioning in the rocket at that moment.
Well, so the good news is there's no air conditioning in the race car, and I went from the lowest bidding teams, and that's where I had all these failures. I had brake failures, wheels falling off, throttle sticking open, and finally when I got to the point where I could get really good rides with really good top quality teams, and the last couple of years was one of the top teams in the entire United States, that fear was gone, and I realized all I had to do was focus on what I could bring to the table, what I could bring to the steering wheel, and it was a whole different game at that point. That's when we started doing races and started doing championships.
Well, you know what? That's fantastic. When we come back, I'm going to let you just do the one, and however you want to end this, because when we come back, I want to talk about your transition into ACN and how you're helping people supplement their income and actually help other people around them as well.
Thank you, Robert.
So we'll be right back with Brad Bernstein, and he's going to be talking about ACN. He's just a great, great guy. You don't want to miss what he's going to tell you now, because it's an opportunity for you either to build a new career or to supplement the career you already have. So don't go away. We'll be right back with my good buddy, Brad Bernstein. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses, website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make The Interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. And we're talking to my good buddy, Brad Bernstein. And we were talking about his days as a race car driver. And I don't know how much time you need on the ACN part, Brad, but if you're not quite done with the race car driver, you can continue there. Otherwise, let's talk about ACN and the benefits that has and how you got involved in it and why it's meaningful for other people to get involved as well.
Sure. I just share one more quick thought on racing, which really kind of encapsulates the mindset when you're behind the wheel. So my thought basically is this, Robert. Everything you do in racing requires an intense level of concentration and focus. We talked about that a little bit. But once you get strapped into the car, the rest of the world totally fades away. All the work, the preparation, sponsor relations, hospitality, every bit of that fades away. I just have to tell you, at the level that I finally arrived in what's called Formula Atlantic, just driving a car at that level requires a mental focus that it just doesn't leave room for anything else, as I mentioned. But the best analogy is something I once heard. Motorsports is described as loud, fast, colorful, and patriotic. It's stick and ball sports, but with live ammunition.
Wow. And
I love it. So,
well, I mean, it's got to be exciting to be moving around that fast and have to be making decisions on a split second that are life-saving or life-threatening. That's got to be an adrenaline high like no other.
Absolutely. Ask my ex-girlfriend about that. She used to be jealous of the way I would describe the high from it, but that's another story. I want to keep it PG. But what I learned in racing, though, because you have your good days and bad days, and one of my coaches and mentors, told me once, he says, sometimes, Brad, you set the car up and the springs and the shocks and the wings and the gear ratios and a million different adjustments, and you set it up for what you think is going to be the proper way to compete on the track on that given day, and you get out on the track and find out the car just isn't working at all. You've got to find a way to soldier on. You've got to find a way to make that car as fast as you can. The analogy to life and business is this. You have a car that's obviously not going to win the race on the bad day. It might be capable of a 10th, 12th, or 15th place. You got to try and make it an 8th or 5th place finish. That is the mark of a champion, and it's the same mark of a champion in business. So to segue into ACN a little bit, I've also evolved into a coach just because I love to share the success secrets that I've learned. I've been fortunate. I've been blessed. I've had a lot of success. So part of what I want to do is just give back and help other people have levels of success. But the analogy that I use from racing is, look, I'm not going to try to sell you or anyone else on my business. I will tell you that it works for me for very specific reasons. But regardless of what you do, I believe there's three things that you have to have, a minimum of these three things. And Robert, as always, I love your feedback because I don't know if I've actually shared these with you in this format. But I think the first thing is you got to have the right vehicle. In racing, you've got to have the right engine, chassis, and tire combination. And you could be the best driver out there. If you don't have the right combination, it's going to be very difficult to win a race and forget about winning a championship. But you got to have the right team also. The experiences I had with brakes failing and wheels falling off and, oh, my gosh, so many embarrassing things and gas pedals sticking wide open. I just didn't have the vehicle that was prepared properly, which really impacted the third component. By the way, our 2010 season, when we just crushed it, didn't have one mechanical failure the entire year. That's just unheard in this level of racing. And then the third thing you have is you got to have the mindset. You got to know that you've got the best vehicle, and you've got to know that you've got the best team. And now it's bringing your mindset. And I will tell you, this is what I bring to business. The same thing I brought to racing in 2009 and 2010. I expected to win, not out of arrogance, but I just knew we had the right combination. We had the best vehicle. And I had the best team. I'd actually hired the 2009 North American Mechanic of the Year to be my crew chief in 2010. So it wasn't out of arrogance. It was out of excessive, meticulous preparation for the 2010 season. And so we just crushed it. So in the business world, there's any number of variables, but you really have to do a strong self-analysis. Do I have the right business? Do I have the right business vehicle? And sometimes we can get blinded by passion, and that's good. And if you're in business to fulfill a certain passion, that's all well and good. But if you're in business, like most of us are, to create income and to create a legacy, you've got to have the right vehicle. And then it's really important to make sure you've got the right team. You know, whether it's in the mortgage business, real estate, the insurance business, these are all factors. But believe me, once you have those, then probably the most difficult one is bringing the mindset of a winner, because you're going to get the curveballs, you're going to get the foul balls, you're going to have the things that are unpredictable. But if you've got all those three components, right vehicle, right team, right mindset, it just bounces off you. It's just another day, and you keep moving forward.
Wow.
So,
boy, that was. Did you say all that in one breath?
You know, I'm so shy, and it's hard for me to come up with things to say when I talk to you, Robert.
Well, you know what? You've done everything except explain what ACN is and how people can get involved and how they can save their friends and neighbors and associates money, and how they can actually make some money on the side as well.
All right, so let me tell you, in 2008, when I had my mortgage company and the real estate market was just tanking, unfortunately, I had way too much time on Google, and I was looking for industries that had never had a downturn. And I was excited because I found two, telecom and energy, and I thought, that's great. You know, how do we get involved in those? I'm not here to promote network marketing. It's something that people are either open to or they're not. But what intrigued me was that I had an opportunity with very little risk, very little investment, to get involved in two growth industries that have never had a downturn. And I remember back in the mortgage days, I was working with customers that had made a ton of money in the deregulation of the phone system, deregulation of telecom. And I was seeing that around the world, energy was beginning to deregulate. So what had happened in 83 was going to happen again. And what happened in 83 only happened once. So it wasn't once in a lifetime. It was just sort of those one and done type deals. So I was intrigued with the company because the big play for these folks is the ability to save people money on things like cell phones, internet, home security, satellite TV. And these are all things that during the recession people never stopped paying for. So in a good economy, people pay for them. In a bad economy, people still pay for them. But the idea to get paid when people pay a gas and electric bill and to save them money on those things just really blew my mind. And I thought, wow, here's an opportunity to get in front of a wave. You know, you want to get in front of a wave. You don't want to be on the wave, and you certainly don't want to be behind the wave. But what I have found is I've had the blessing to be in a position for people that are not business-minded or entrepreneurial, just saving money on bills they're paying anyway. And in our business model, we have a partnership with Ronald McDonald House and another partnership that feeds hungry children. It's called Project Feeding Kids. A survey was done that showed there was about 17 million hungry children in the U.S. So we created a business model where every time someone becomes our customer or pays a bill that they're going to pay anyway, and the key is a bill they're going to pay anyway, gas, electricity, phone, internet, home security. The customer saves money. A hungry child in the U.S. gets fed. And for the business-minded entrepreneur, it's the ability to get paid residually over and over again on bills that people pay over and again.
And let me stop you right there for just a second. So let's assume that somebody signs up with ACN and they want to save money on their electric bill, they want to save money on their cable bill, they want to save money on their phone bill. Do they no longer pay those providers? They now just send one check to ACN?
Actually, for most of these services, the bill still goes to the company that they've been paying all along, especially on energy. See, it's really important for the consumer that nothing change. So they pay the bill to the same company, and the question that always comes up, Brad, what happens if there's an outage or interruption in my service? You know, in the case of Southern California, you'd still call Southern California Gas. They deliver the commodity, they service the customer if there's any outages. What's really happening behind the scenes is you have the opportunity to decide where Southern California Gas gets the gas, where San Diego Gas and Electric gets their electricity off of the grid. So for the consumer, nothing changes except a lower price. For the business entrepreneur, the only thing that changes is you now get paid a percentage of very large bills, because we do this not only residentially but commercially. Think about it. If you got paid when Hopefully we're going to be deregulating in Nevada soon. And we've got a lot of people making some outreaches there. But imagine that you were so lucky to know somebody who knew a decision maker at the MGM Grand Hotel, and we landed that energy account. And they save money, hungry children get fed, and you get a piece of that bill. And this is really the key. Robert, silly question, but how often do you pay an electric bill at your home? Every month, right?
Yeah. So how do you know? How do you know that you're saving money? Do they put some kind of a code that you're in a group discount, or how do they know that you're actually saving money?
Well, great question. It's real simple. For all the residential and small commercial accounts, you just go to the website, click on the service, click on the state, click on who your provider is right now, and the cost comparison is right there on the website. Just take your bill, look what's on the website, and it's real simple. If we're saving you money, sign up. It takes about 5 minutes. On the large commercial accounts, we actually have to do an analysis on those. So something like the larger hotels, casinos, things of that nature, that's handled on the corporate end. The beauty for me is I don't get involved in it. I just create the lead. The lead is generated. People behind the scenes do the negotiation. When the account is settled, I get an email notification, and then every month just sit back and enjoy your paycheck. Now, I don't need to be cold-hearted or mean here, but I have to tell you, I'm looking at the weather forecast right now, and I'm seeing a lot of red on the map right now. And I'm actually very excited about that. I'm sorry, folks, that are sweating, but the hotter it is, the more money we make in the summertime on air conditioning. And then I remember looking at those maps of the weather in the U.S. Last winter, and it was really cold in the Midwest and the East Coast. I'm so sorry. But, literally, I'm getting paid on the weather right now, which is a pretty crazy concept. And the idea that's really happening here, the key to this is deregulation is eliminating the monopoly that the utility companies have had since day one. So that's really the essence of it. Think back to when AT&T was the sole provider in the United States. Now you have all these other companies. The same thing is happening with gas and electricity. And this is going to happen. It's kind of a one-time deal. When deregulation happens, it'll only happen once. And the great news is only 17 states have deregulated so far, and the rest are coming online one after another.
So now what we ought to talk about a little bit is ACM is a multi-level marketing company. It's a legitimate, honest, and legal one. Been around for a while, for quite a while. How long have they been around, Brad?
Well, it started in January of 1993, so we're coming up on over 21 years at this point.
Yeah, so it's not like
countries.
It's not like they're a fly-by-night company that's going to be gone tomorrow. And so, but by being an MLN company, there's an opportunity for you to make money on other people you introduce to this opportunity, right?
It's just like any network marketing company in concept. The concept is the same. For me, what was the attraction, and there's nothing wrong with what I'm about to say. There's nothing wrong with the vitamins and the lotions and the juices. There's nothing wrong with all that. I'm a customer on many of those products. But for me, in terms of building a business and building a legacy, I wanted the foundation to be something that people would pay for every month, no matter what, for the rest of their life. The second part was I wanted to have the right team and the right vehicle. So I was looking for a company that had already stood the test of time. I very respectfully tell people the question is not whether ACN is a valid company, although you're going to see all kinds of dirt on the internet, pretty much with any company. But after 21, 22 years, having former attorney generals on our legal advisory team to keep the company squeaky clean, being in 24 countries, working with all of these major Fortune 500 and Fortune 50 companies, they've done so much research on us. The key is it a fit?
Okay, so listen, I've got to stop you because we've only got 15 seconds. How do people contact you? Can they go to your website at bradbernstein.com, or where do they go?
Brad Burns, actually, you know what? 949-463-3776. Call me or go to www.trueresidual.acnibo.com. And thank you, Robert.
Hey, thank you, Brad. This was terrific. I really appreciate you filling in. It was interesting and informative. Look forward to seeing you soon. You and I got a project going, and I look forward to telling my listeners about that in the near future.
Thanks, Robert. Have a great day.
All right, buddy. You take care. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, we're going to be with our own Ray Mailer with his series, The American Grid. He's going to give us an update on the fires that are going on in California, the water projects in California, the highway projects in California. He's probably going to give us some good news and probably going to give us some bad news. So don't go away. We'll be right back with Ray Mailer and his American Grid. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this. The Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:07 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 99 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, it actually came down from 104 to that 99. It's on its way to 67. That's what I'm looking forward to. But you know what? Talking about turning up the heat and finding out what's going on, we've got him waiting in our wings, our own Ray Mailer. So let's get him in here and see what the good news is and what the bad news is. I'm pretty sure we're going to probably have a little bit of both.
Bye, bye, Miss American Pie. Drove my Chevy to the levee, but the levee was dry. Them good old boys were drinking whiskey and rye and singing, this'll be the day that I die.
And now, from the National Archives of Public Planning, located in the basement of his Long Beach Reference Library, the unappreciated but widely acknowledged expert on past, present, and future infrastructure planning, let's welcome Mr. Ray Mailer and his American Grid.
Hey, Ray, welcome aboard. You know what? You got to be anxious for today. Not only are you gonna blast us and castigate us with what's going on with the California wildfires and the roads and highways and the water things, but you're gonna also tell us that you're not going to be with us next Wednesday because you're going to selfishly go on vacation.
Yeah, that's right. Next week we're going to take a little vacation, and we're actually going to go spend a week in the Sierra Mountains, and we're keeping our fingers crossed that we don't have any wildfires to contend with. That would really
Well, that could kind of smoke us out. There probably won't be any kindling there, any because it's all been burned up.
Well, that's right. So Well, actually, I've been taking a look at the map, and it seems like there aren't any fires particularly near. But I do understand things are really dry, and we need to watch out. Need to be careful. So,
well, you know what, Ray? As I understand it, you probably know better than I. This is an absolutely, God, I hate to use this term, a banner year in California with regard to wildfires. Well, we got like 29 of them or something going at the same time right now.
Yeah, that's what I heard, something like that. And then there's this one fire up near Napa that I guess is as large as all of Catalina Island right now.
Oh my goodness.
Just a phenomenal acreage that's under fire right now.
So let me ask you, because we spend millions upon millions of dollars, probably billions of dollars, on these wildfires every year. I understand we're waiting for some of these huge tanker planes to be coming out from Washington that may be coming out next week. I don't understand why it takes an airplane a week to get from Washington State to here, but whatever the reason is. But at some point where these fires are burning, it's uninhabited, very rural areas, there's nobody out there, could you make a case for just letting it burn, or do we really need to preserve all of that for future use?
No, there is a strong argument for just letting things burn. It is what the forests, particularly in the West, have always done. Even if you take a look at particularly the sequoia forests, I mean, the sequoia forests exist because of fire. Their seeds don't open up without the help of some fire to heat it up. So there's a strong case to just let things burn. I understand that most of the firefighting efforts are, focused around towns and cities to try to prevent the fire from spreading into it. So I think the basic firefighter strategy is containment. So you try and create a barrier to keep the fire from going no farther, which means you're kind of working in advance of where the flames are. Mm-hmm. And then, maybe a day or two later, the flames do get to that area. There's this big gap or barrier, and hopefully the flames don't go any farther. So there is a tendency just to let things burn. It's not like a house, where you can just douse a bunch of water on it. And,
and don't get me wrong. I mean, I certainly wouldn't want to see anybody lose their belongings, their home, the things that they worked their life for. That's not what I meant at all when I was saying, can you just let this stuff burn? Because I would be crushed for anybody that would lose anything. Like that. I'm just thinking in terms of, gosh, if we can't get the firefighters in there because it's in some remote area where human beings can't even get, why don't we just let the doggone thing burn?
Yeah, I think that happens a lot in the uninhabited areas. Just let it go. I think it's kind of rare if you've ever walked in after, in the few years after a big fire. Mm-hmm. A big fire, it's not that all the trees burn down. It's that, a percentage of them do. And the forests do eventually recover. I remember I was touring North America in 1988, and I had in mind to go help out. There was a huge fire underway at Yellowstone, and much of Yellowstone burned. I went back there about 20 years later and was very pleasantly surprised to see how much new growth there was. And you could see that many of these new trees that were now 20 years old had grown to more than half the height of the previously burned trees.
Well, it's interesting that you would say that, and I don't know that what I'm going to say is accurate because I don't know anything about forestry or that kind of stuff. But I can remember it wasn't that long ago. I've got a really good friend that has a cabin up in the mountains, and they were having to take down these trees because they were being infected by beetles or bugs or whatever the heck was happening. They were all dying, and I'm thinking, well, sometimes these fires are probably nature's way of getting rid of not only the sick growth, but getting rid of the bugs that cause the problem as well. And now if we're putting all these fires out, doesn't exacerbate the problem.
To put the fires out, yes, does create a long-term problem, and that's part of the strength of the argument to just let them burn, at least in the the rural areas where there truly is no housing. And you're right. What's happening right now because of the dry conditions, in our 4 years of drought, is the bark beetles are really going crazy because the trees are in a weakened condition, and the bark beetles kind of finish off a lot of the trees. And then, that makes everything really ripe for a fire. Fire comes in, burns everything down, the bark beetle goes away, and the forest gets a fresh start. That, that needs to happen every, I don't know, somebody who studies this might know, but, maybe it's every 50 or 100 years, portions of forest kind of get a fresh start.
Yeah, it's like a rejuvenation for everything. Gets everything nice and strong and solid and beautiful again. And I guess you got to go through a period of where things don't look so pretty, but that's kind of like life, isn't it? I don't look near as pretty as I did 50 years ago.
Oh, you're still a handsome devil, but
talk nasty to me, Ray. Talk nasty to me. It's okay.
Yeah, but you're absolutely right. I mean, we all love to be in a forest when it's fresh and green and well shaded. But every once in a while, and for a period of a few years, the forest just needs to kind of get thinned out, burned down.
Okay.
We didn't want to do anything to start it. There are plenty of natural forces that make this happen all by itself.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's some unnatural sources that make it happen too, and those are the ones we need to throw the keys away from.
Yes, indeed. Boy, yeah, there are occasional situations where you're kind of scratching your head. Sometimes you read about a teenage boy or a young man playing with matches or intentionally starting a fire.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh my gosh. We've even had some situations where there was an intentionally started fire, and and a fireman lost his life.
Yeah.
I remember one situation in recent years. There was consideration of bringing murder charges against the young man who started the fire.
Well, didn't that happen? You remember here? Let's see, was it in 2001 or 2002 that everybody was thinking that the entire Southern California was on fire? We had the fire in San Diego, Scripps Ranch, and we had the fire here in Rancho Cucamonga, and we had the fire in Corona, and we had the fire in we had fires in I don't know if it was Malibu or out in that area anyway, and it turns out that the one in San Diego was actually lit by a camper who had gotten lost, and the fire got away. He got prosecuted for something, didn't he?
Oh, yeah, boy, you just jogged my memory. Yeah, the guy who was got lost and started a fire. I don't know what happened with that particular individual. And I forget the name of that fire, but it was particularly devastating for northern San Diego County, right?
Yeah. It was.
Yeah.
It was like in Pomona maybe, or out in that area.
Or Poway, right?
Yeah, that's what it was. Poway. That's what it was.
Poway area. Yeah, I remember that. And I also happen to know a firefighter who handles forest fires for one of the counties, and there were a lot of changes that happened as a result of that particular fire. Just how things get managed when they send in firefighters. Mm-hmm. There was a lot of change that happened as a result of that, because I don't know if a firefighter, I guess a firefighter or firefighters might have lost their lives, but they got much more careful about when you send them in.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what? And it's not enough that I understand it's these guys' jobs. But, it's not that we want to send them into that kind of more danger than what they already have to endure. The idea is you don't want to send them in if it's going to be if it's going to cost them their lives or certain injuries. You got to be able to use some kind of procedures that protect these guys. Absolutely. Yeah, I certainly agree with that. We admire their efforts for trying, but we don't ask them to pay with their lives. That's not an expectation. Yep. We've been talking about putting out fires. That takes water. So when we come back, let's talk about California and water. How's that sound?
Sounds good to me.
Okay, we'll be right back with our own Ray Mailer and his American Grid. Don't go away. We'll be right back. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses: website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. Association with the nationally syndicated celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful in visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, Gentle Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay. A great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show. And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza Live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. Well, you know what? If you live in California, you live in a drought-stricken state. We're having some water problems, and so our own Ray Mailer is going to talk to us right now about what California is doing about our water problem. Oh, come on, guys. Cut it out. Ray, you got the microphone.
Well, I wasn't sure if they were hooting me or cheering because Californians have a reason to cheer. We did get our water usage numbers for June, and it looks like we had another really good month where we Californians reduced our water usage by 27% in June.
Wasn't that about the same as the last month, right?
Yeah, that was just a skosh less than the previous month, and the state's Department of Water Resources notes that this reflects a fundamental change in our water habits, and they were kind of applauding us for it. Together, those 2 months alone, we saved 120 billion gallons of water.
Wow. So let's put that into perspective. So how much water a day, if we know, do we consume? Mm-hmm. Did we save a day's worth of water? Did we save 10 days worth of water? How much water did we save?
Yeah, that's a great question. It'd take me a while to do the calculation on that.
Well, I'm not going to ask you. I'm not going to ask you to do that now. I thought you might have it figured. Don't go rushing off trying to figure that out. I'm still trying to. I go to my mailbox every day and cringe because I'm afraid I'm going to see another water bill.
Oh, right, and I hope your water bills are getting a little bit better. But
I haven't gotten another one since the $618 one, but I have turned off all the water on my back lawn, not the planters, I'm resisting this thing, but I've turned it off the back lawn, and you can imagine with the heat we have out here, it's starting to turn brown back there. My gardener's loving it because there's not much to mow.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's easy on the gardening.
I explained to him that that's okay. The time that you would have spent mowing, you can spend trimming now.
That's right, because you're still watering everything that's in the boxes, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, again, I'd love to figure out how many months or years of water usage we managed to save. But if we kept this up, we would save 750 billion gallons of water.
God, it's
over the course of the year.
And it sounds like such a gigantic amount of water, right? Until somehow we put this in perspective, I'm going to have to find out, how much we use. I bet you there's not even a number out there saying what our daily usage is for a state, right?
Well, actually, most water agencies assume about 50 gallons per person per day.
Oh, so we got 33 million people in the state, right?
Right. Yep.
Okay. So we're talking about 1.5 trillion. 1.5 million gallons. No, 1.5 billion gallons a day.
Okay, so if we saved 120, let's just round it up to 150. That's 100 days worth of water.
Wow, that's
Is that right?
That's 3 months. That's fantastic.
Yeah, that's pretty good. So that we just, with that saving, we bought ourselves 3 more months. Should we have another dry winter?
So, and then have you heard anything, Ray, at all about this El Nino that they're hoping and praying and on their knees for this winter, that we'll have 3 or 4 years of really wet winters to replenish our aquifers and our water tables and our reservoirs and things?
Yeah, I still hear that the forecast is good. And, when you hear this sort of thing early, you get really nervous because hey, let's just let it happen.
Yeah. Whose crystal ball is better than the other guy, right?
Let's not jinx ourselves over this. But I guess the forecast is still good. Those who get into this, the details of this, there's this concern that it's going to come mostly as rain, and mostly in the southern part of the state.
And we need snow up in the northern part, right?
Yeah, not so much from the north. So, I guess we'll see what happens. The interesting thing from an infrastructure perspective is if this is a new weather pattern where we're going to have more El Ninos.
Mm-hmm.
I guess the El Ninos maybe generate more rain for the south than the typical snow that we rely upon that tends to come from the north.
Yeah.
Well, if that's the case, what that might actually mean is we need more dams in the south.
Right.
To capture the water, because right now, we have some dams in the south, but the vast majority of the water is coming from the Colorado River, but also particularly in the north, and then we just pipe it down here.
Well, wasn't it last week, Ray, or I don't know if it was you or if I read it or if I saw it on some report somewhere, that Hoover Dam is down to 40% of its capacity?
Oh, yeah, no, I hadn't heard that. That's
Lake
low.
Mead, I should say.
Lake Mead, down around 40%. Although if it's at 40%, that tells me the top 2 straws are dry, and I don't think that's the case. Because I had, I guess I'll need to find out if the bottom straw, that new bottom straw for Las Vegas, has been completed to pipe the water from Lake Mead. Yeah, but if it's down to 40% capacity, that would be concerning. Although I had come across some data after one of our shows 1 or 2 weeks ago that showed the Lake Mead water levels, and where we're at right now, we have been before.
Really?
Whatever the current water level is. So it's not unprecedented low. We were there, I think, in the 60s previously, and perhaps also in the early 50s.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, along these lines, I try not to make the show all about, bad news.
Oh yeah, but I can remember when I was a kid, we had big winters. I mean, we had strong rains and storms, and we had big winters, and not just in Southern California, but throughout California. And it just seems like our weather patterns have changed dramatically.
And I'm wondering if you're right, because the last really strong winter I remember was 97 and 98, which at this point was many years ago. I remember just some really consistent and cold rain coming down, and I haven't seen that in I guess 18 years.
Yeah, well, I'm thinking back to the 50s and 60s.
Yeah.
Of course, not all of us can think back that far. I understand.
Yeah. One of the challenges I've always had for kind of being well attuned to California is I always leave for a week at Christmas time, and invariably when I would come back, people would tell me, "Oh, you missed all the rain. It was raining cats and dogs and whatever." And it's like, "Oh, you're kidding." would have loved to be here.
Well, I'm sitting here anxiously anticipating a cold winter so I can put fires in my 4 fireplaces.
Yeah, that's a nice thing to be able to do, and with good reason. If it's cold out, you want to have a good fire in there.
Yeah.
So, well, I took a look also at what's happening at the federal level. I think I took
Nothing is happening at the federal level. They went on a 5-week vacation.
Yeah. So they're vacationing now, but on their way out the door, Dianne Feinstein had proposed a California Emergency Drought Relief Act that was co-sponsored by Barbara Boxer. And you had introduced this a couple of shows ago, and you had suggested that the feds might be trying to match some of the activity that we already have planned at the State Department of Water Resources, and you hit the nail on the head. That's exactly what Feinstein and Boxer are proposing. They're looking at throwing about $100 million towards desalination, about $600 million towards storage, and which would mean new dams, and most importantly, they're going to direct the Bureau of Reclamation, that's the federal water agency, to accelerate their review of 4 dam sites. One's at Shasta, others are at Sites, which is north of Sacramento, Temperance Flat, which is northwest of Fresno, and Los Vaqueros, which is east of Oakland.
So they're all northern. They're all northern sites, right?
Yeah, they're all northern states, and this comes to the point I mentioned earlier. We have always been thinking about building dams in the north because that's where most of the water comes as rain or snow. So we try to capture the rain and then the snow melt in the summer, and so that's why we're still thinking of building more dams in the north, just so we can improve our capture up there. So one of the federal objectives is if they can kind of kick the Bureau of Reclamation to move faster, if they can finish approving these sites, then they get thrown in with our state-funded efforts to potentially build new dams. So that's kind of a key piece. It's perhaps not always apparent, to we average citizens. But if the feds can kind of finish their study and review process, then we can throw it in the hopper as a viable dam for us to build.
So would it be unreasonable to say, well, you know what, we need dams up north, we need dams down south, and as the dams fill up north, why not have the runoff come down south into the other dams we have here and just multiply the amount of water that we can reserve?
Yeah, exactly. I take it you're suggesting building some more dams in the south.
Yes.
Yeah, I think, if it turns out we really are having a new climate pattern where, when we have an El Nino, the real impact is we get more rain in the south, then we should be building more dams in the south. And I'll bet the folks up north would be happy to hear that because they always kind of grudgingly share their water with us.
Yeah, they don't share it. They're forced to give it to us.
I was trying to be polite about it, but you're right.
They don't even begrudgingly do it. They are totally opposed to it.
And wouldn't it be ironic if if the north started drying because of climate change and the south became damper, and then, well, maybe we would have some extra water to give them.
We would just have to explain to them that the California aqueduct was built in such a way that the water only runs in one direction.
Which in fact it does. It's gravity fed, and it slowly goes down to the south. So yeah, it will not work in reverse.
I sometimes surprise myself with this logic, you know.
But there would be one great infrastructure project if if that were the case, to try to figure out a new aqueduct to flow north. That'd be something.
Yeah. So anyway, you're going to go camping. Are you going to go camping for your entire vacation?
Yeah, actually, we found a cabin and
nice.
Up in the forest near some lakes. And so that's where we're headed. We'll bring the whole family in our hiking boots. I was looking at a map and I realized it was reasonably close to the Pacific Coast Trail, and I thought we might make a family hike out to the Pacific. Did I say coast? Crest, the Pacific Crest Trail.
Well, take lots of pictures.
Indeed, and who knows, a fire may come right after we leave, and it might be the last pictures.
Which would be a good reason for you to have lots of pictures, so that you can remember what it was like at that time, right?
Yeah, exactly. See all those trees? Yeah, they're just rocks now.
Hey, Ray, this was a terrific segment. I really enjoyed it. I don't know if we covered all the stuff you wanted to cover. Probably not, because when I start talking to you, we go off into tangents, so it makes it difficult for you. I understand it, but one of the things I like about you is you're a very patient gentleman, and you just let me just ramble on.
Well, you're very kind, but I always enjoy just a good conversation that flows where it flows, like a river. It just kind of goes where it's going to go.
Yep, that's.
But for a future show, I've got some news about State Route 91, which is also in your stomping ground. So we can pick that up at a future show.
We'll do that in a couple of weeks. In the meantime, stay safe, stay happy, and don't forget to come back all in one piece, will you?
Will do.
All right, everybody. Now, don't go away. When we come back, we're going to deal with today's birthdays, the secret teachings for your life, the Harvard Business Tip of the Day, and interesting but useless facts. Don't go away. We'll be right back. If you want to increase your client base and sales, then consider this, the Relationship Building Network at RBN. Given the current economic conditions and challenges, we all need to work smarter, make smarter decisions, invest our hard-earned dollars where it'll yield the best return for our investment. Many business professionals claim that the most effective networking group in Orange County is RBN. No other networking group or organization can offer what RBN offers. Make every year your best year. Join RBN and start reaping the benefits today. Nearly 3,000 businesses have joined RBN and experienced those benefits. Why join RBN? It's one group. It's one membership. It's no renewals. It's all through Orange County. RBN is a freestyle networking group. No mandatory attendance, no restrictions, no rules, and no penalties. Call them at 949-830-5776 or go to their website at rbninfo.com. That's 949-830-5776. If you've ever dreamed of having your own business to make your life secure, Water's Edge Wineries might be just the ticket. In 2004, their founder, Ken Leinberger, created the first winery franchise in California. It was a new concept with all of the functionality of a traditional winery, but without the vineyards. They purchased high-quality grape must from one of the largest winemaking companies in the world. Then they craft each wine carefully and bottle it right at their location. The winery was built to satisfy consumer demand for wine by the bottle and by the glass, but still kept the element of allowing customers to bottle their own custom vintage. Now, they're opening urban wineries across the United States under the brand Water's Edge Wineries. If you've ever dreamed of owning your own winery, it may be in reach right now through Water's Edge Wineries. Just give them a call at 909-468-9463, extension 700. That's Water's Edge Wineries, 909-468-9463. Have you ever found yourself caught between a rock and a hard place? The law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett might be just the answer for you. The attorneys of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett have been serving the Inland Empire since 1989. They're dedicated to the aggressive litigation of civil, criminal, and real estate matters. Over the years, they have recovered tens of millions of dollars for their clients. The firm's practice specializes in litigation of personal injury, accident, slip and fall, real estate, and criminal law cases. The firm provides clients with the care, accuracy, and dedication of experienced attorneys. Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett is located at 10300 4th Street, Suite 150 in Rancho Cucamonga, California. They've been providing the Inland Empire residents with outstanding legal services for over 25 years. They look forward to providing you with aggressive legal representation. Call them at 909-945-5000, where you can talk to a person, not a machine. That's 909-945-5000, the law offices of Blomberg, Benson, and Garrett. And now let's get back to our show where we talk about politics, money, and you.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:40 p.m. Pacific time. Currently 99 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, you know what today is, right? You got it. It is August the 5th, and it is somebody's birthday. And you know what? This person was born in 1862, died in 1890. He was an Englishman who became known as the Elephant Man because of his physical appearance caused by a congenital disorder. Happy birthday, Joseph Merrick. And here's a guy that we all, he's known worldwide. He was born in 1930, an American astronaut, and the very first person to set foot on the moon. Happy birthday, Neil Armstrong. And also, today in 1962, this man was born. He's a retired basketball player who spent most of his career with the New York Knicks as a starting center. Happy birthday, Patrick Ewing. And what happened today in history? Well, I can tell you. In 1962, Nelson Mandela is jailed. He would not be released until 1990. Wow. Isn't that something? 28 years later, right? How about 1963? The United States, the United Kingdom, and Soviet Union sign a nuclear test ban treaty restricting nuclear proliferation. Boy, that was a good thing. Now we're trying to do the same thing with Iran, right? Well, and Congress is getting in the way. Can you believe that? How about this? In 1981, Ronald Reagan fires 11,359 striking air traffic controllers who ignored his order for them to return to work. Well, there you go. Saint Ronnie, you did the right thing, pal. Well, our quote for today comes from Pablo Picasso, and he says, "It is your work in life that is the ultimate seduction." Well, it is for some people, and it should be for all, I guess. Well, let's talk about the secret daily teachings for your life. You've heard me talk about it all the time. It's actually a positive mental attitude we're dealing with here. And you know what? If you have a positive mental attitude, your life will be so much better for it. I'm telling you, I just keep telling you every day, you control your life. You control the outcome of every day. You control your moods and the things that happen to you and the successes that you have. You have got to have a positive mental attitude. That's what it's all about. Now, the teaching for today is to attract money. Focus on wealth. It is impossible to bring more money into your life when you focus on the lack of it. Give that some serious thought. These secret tips will start making more sense to you if you just start believing me that you need to have a positive mental attitude. That's just what it's all about, guys. That's just what it's all about. Well, it's time for our Harvard Business Tip of the Day. And the management tip today is avoid the pitfalls of emotions in email. Yeah. Listen, we all struggle with how to communicate emotion over email. Without normal cues like tone of voice or facial expressions, miscommunication can happen easily. These recommendations might be able to help you.
people overestimate their ability to convey emotions in email. The simplest way to avoid confusion is to explicitly state the emotion you want to relay. For example, I'm very happy with this, or I'm confused. Also, people also read and interpret emotions differently. Prevent misunderstandings by imagining how your email will sound to the recipient. You ever give that some thought? How about this? We try to trust those who act like us, mimicking the style of the person you're emailing, whether through emotions, exclamation, points, or slang, can help you come across the way you intend. If you just try to emulate the person that you're talking to, sometimes they understand that written word better. And then finally, it's easy to appear fake or disingenuous over email. Sometimes making an intentional typo can help you seem warmer and more authentic, especially when you're in a position of power. Well, you know what? I do plenty of typos, but they're not intentional. I'll give you that one anyway. Well, it's time for our interesting but useless facts section of the show. I love this section of the show. It's at first I questioned the viability of it, but as I read more and more of these things, I'm just astounded at the guys that had to put this together. And you know what? You'll understand more as I move along. And let's get started to it. Did you know? At one feeding, a mosquito can absorb 1.5 times its own weight in blood. There you go. You think vampires had a deal, right? How about this? You know, a citizen of Calcutta, India, grew the fingernails on his left hand to a length of 76 inches. Now, that's 2 yardsticks. That's 6 feet. Think about it, guys. You had to have people holding on to the fingernails so this guy could walk around, I'm guessing. It's just amazing. Did you know that nearly 91% of all senior citizens rely on prescription drugs on a regular basis? 91%. Wow. But also remember this. Those people that you look at as old and decrepit and they've been around and you're thinking they're getting older, those are the same people that probably taught you how to eat with a spoon. So, keep in mind that they've been through all this and you're going to go through it too. Your day is coming. Did you know all U.S. presidents have worn glasses? Some just didn't like being seen wearing them in public, but all of them wore glasses. And here's one. In Kentucky, 50% of the people who get married for the first time are teenagers. Wow. I wonder what the divorce rate is. How about this? The 4 horsemen of the apocalypse named in the Bible's book of Revelation are conquest, slaughter, famine, and death. Wow. Doesn't leave much hope, does it? Argentinians eat more meat than any other nation in the world, an average of 10 ounces per person per day. Gee, that doesn't sound like so much to me. It sounds pretty decent to me, actually. How about this? South Africa is the only country to have 3 capital cities, one for each branch of its government: administrative, legislative, and judicial. And let me leave you with this. Based on what we know and can reasonably imagine, there is no chance of any human traveling beyond the edge of our solar system, ever. It's just too doggone far. Now, don't go away, because when we come back, I'm going to deal with your emails. And the first email up today is from Morgan Agra from Athens, Tennessee, asking about the statute of limitations. I'll tell you all about it right after these brief messages. Don't go away. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. And what's in it for you? Gain credibility as an expert, earn the trust of your target market, educate in a way that intrigues your audience, gain a powerful marketing tool that offers dozens of uses: website, video sharing sites, social media, email, DVDs, direct mail, lobby video, resumes, profile building, all that kind of stuff. association with the nationally syndicated Celebrity. That's right. And let's talk about AHA Studios. AHA is a strategic marketing firm that leverages the powerful and visual persuasion to help your business create powerful messages that connect with your target market. AHA ventures way beyond strategy, delivering the marketing collateral you need to start driving a new business through your doors. AHA has a full-service, in-house, state-of-the-art production studio to bring your messages to life using video. Discover how to make the interview work for you. Call 949-831-2222. That's 949-831-2222. AHA Image Studios, Incorporated. Dr. Stephen Tidwell, General Family Dentistry in a caring, personalized environment. Here at Dr. Tidwell's office, we are dedicated to helping you keep your teeth healthy. We are a state-of-the-art dental practice that still believes in traditional values, such as excellent customer service and individual attention. We have a special welcoming offer for you for just $39, a complete exam, personal consultation, professional cleaning, and all necessary x-rays. That's a $266 value for $39. Dr. Tidwell has 2 convenient locations and experienced staff to provide you with professional care and personal attention that you deserve. Call today. Don't delay a great smile another day. Call 909-944-7308. That's 909-944-7308 for Rancho Cucamonga or San Bernardino. Joel Saltzman is Dr. Wireless. He has turned his considerable expertise into consumer credit risk and wireless security into a highly specialized independent web-based consulting enterprise targeting consumer credit risk analysis and wireless transactional security and monitoring. He works as a wireless analyst, veteran independent agent, and consumer liaison for most wireless telecom carriers and equipment manufacturers. For more than 20 years, corporate and private clients and media audiences have counted on his unvarnished advice while weighing the technology, performance, and cost differences between Sprint, Nextel, AT&T, Verizon, and T-Mobile. Joel specializes in setting up mobile wireless hotspots to be used for disaster preparedness, business continuity, and mobile wireless merchant processing solutions. Call Dr. Wireless at 310-400-4900 or go to his webpage at drwireless.com. Again, call 310-400-4900 or his webpage at drwireless.com. You'll be glad you did. And now, back to our show.
And I am Robert Cardoza. You're listening to Robert Cardoza live on the street at the intersection of business and politics. We're at 5:52 p.m. Pacific time. It's currently 99 degrees here in the heart of the Inland Empire in sunny Southern California. Well, we're coming down to the wire. It's time for our email section of the show where I answer your emails and your questions. I want to remind you that it's an entertainment section of the show, and like all emails, sometimes the information can be just a little sketchy. And so what we want to do is want to remind you that before you go off and you do anything, contact a licensed professional. You'll be glad you did. They'll save you more money than they cost you, and they'll give you peace of mind. They'll let you sleep at night. You won't worry about somebody tapping you on the shoulder, knocking on your door, or ringing your doorbell, or sending you a registered letter, because one of the conditions of these licensed professionals is that they have errors and omissions insurance. And as a result, if they make a mistake, they pay the piper. That's why it's always better for you to do that. Stay safe. Just feel secure. That's why you do it. Now, first email today comes from Morgan Agra from Athens, Tennessee, asking about a statute of limitations and says, when does the 3-year statute of limitations start on my tax return so it will be safe from an audit? Well, the IRS generally has 3 years to audit a tax return starting from the later of its original due date or the date on which it was actually filed. So, if you file your return before April the 15th, the 3-year period starts on April the 15th, while if you file later, it starts on your return's actual filing date. Now, be careful. The limitation period is 6 years if your return understates income by more than 25%, and there is no limitation period if you commit fraud on your return or don't file at all. So, keep that in mind as well. Also, next email comes from Bella Aguilar from Burton, Mississippi, asking about, Michigan, asking about donated shares. And she writes, years ago, a friend donated shares of his corporation, private corporation, to a charity, claimed a deduction for their value, and had the charity redeem them for cash from the company.
So he got a deduction for the stock that he donated. Now I'm in a position to do the same thing. Is it still legal? Well, Bella, yes, it is. This is legal if the redemption is voluntary with the charity and not required by a pre-existing agreement. That is, the charity must have the legal right to keep the shares, although in practice it will probably want the cash obtained from redeeming them. Tax-wise, the deal is not as favorable as it once was. Lower top tax personal tax rates mean the charity deduction saves less tax. And today's low 15% capital gains tax rate offers more after-tax cash from selling the shares. But this is still a valid way to help a charity if that's what you want to do. Next email comes from Catherine Areza from Palos Verdes, California, asking about a vacant rental and writes, I own a house that I rent out. The family that rented it moved out before their lease was up. I couldn't rent the house quickly, so it was vacant for several months. Can I deduct my lost rental income? Unfortunately, Catherine, the answer to your question is no, you can't do that. You have no deductible loss for tax purposes since you received no rental income for several months. You simply report zero rent in your income for that period. But that lack of income, combined with your normal expenses of maintaining the property, may or may not produce a deductible loss from rental activity. Also, if you believe that you were wronged by your tenant's failure to pay you the rent owed to you under their lease, you can sue them for that under the terms of the lease in your local court system. Now, any award that you receive will be taxable income to you, so keep that in mind. My last email comes from Nathan Casillas from Union City, New Jersey, asking about IRA contributions, and writes, can I contribute stocks that I own to my IRA? If not, can I contribute cash to my IRA and then have it buy the stocks from me? Well, you know what, Nathan? You got two questions there, and the answer is no and no. All IRA contributions must be made in cash. The only way that an IRA can receive non-cash assets is through a transfer from another retirement account. So let me give you an example of that. If an employer-sponsored 401k plan account holds stock shares, they can be transferred to the IRA. In addition, an IRA may be disqualified and lose its tax-favored status if it engages in any of a list of prohibited transactions. Now, prominent among these is any sale, exchange, or lease with its owner or a member of its owner's immediate family. That would be spouse, ancestor, lineal descendant, that kind of stuff. So for more details on this, go see publication 590. That's Individual Retirement Arrangements. You'll be glad that you did that. I promise you'll be glad you did that. It's just, you don't want to fool around with these kind of things. That sometimes the benefits to you are much less than what the penalties are, and you just don't want to go there, trust me. Now, I want to thank you for listening to Robert Cardoza Live at the intersection of business and politics. Robert Cardoza Live broadcasts on Spreaker Radio, MyCast Live Radio, and countless terrestrial stations worldwide every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. I also broadcast on Roar 1776 Radio and on Live 365 Radio every Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Please follow me on Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, Google+, and YouTube, where you can listen to all of my shows 24/7. Go to my website at www.robertcardozalive.com and email me at robertcardozalive@gmail.com. That's where I get all the emails I deal with here on the show. On my next show, my expert contributor is going to be John Matthews with his series, The Conservative Syndicate. And don't forget to tune in tonight at 6:15 at theconservativesyndicate.net. You'll hear me and John and Joe talking. I think we're going to be talking about the Iran deal. So if you want to hear some more of us, that would be where you want to go. My special guest tomorrow is Sean LaFay with his series, Geared for Wellness. He'll be talking about health care. I encourage you to tell all of your friends about my show here on the RLC Broadcasting Network. Isn't it time to shine the spotlight on your expertise? The Interview, starring you. Here's your chance to capture 5 minutes of fame with The Interview. This isn't just any interview. This is your opportunity to showcase your expertise and position yourself as a trusted expert in a one-on-one video interview hosted by Robert Cardoza, host of the nationally syndicated show Robert Cardoza Live and powered by AHA Studios. What is it? A professionally recorded video for your use. Robert Cardoza interviews you on the set where he records his show. Professional interview showcases your expertise and value, shot in a state-of-the-art studio. That's our show for today. Beginning today, treat everyone you meet as if they were going to be dead by midnight. Extend them all the care, kindness, and understanding that you can muster. Your life will never be the same again. So many of our dreams at first seem impossible, then they seem improbable, and then when we summon the will, they soon become inevitable. You know, the real secret of happiness is to make others believe that they're the cause of it. Robert Cardoza Live is brought to you by blogtalkradio.com every Monday through Friday from 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Pacific Time. Now, go out and make it a great day. Your host has been Robert Cardoza, the technical advisor, Matchstick Digital, and your executive producer, also Robert Cardoza. Okay, everybody, that's a wrap. I hope you enjoyed today's show as much as I enjoyed producing it for you. Don't forget to join me again tomorrow at 4 p.m. for another installment of Robert Cardoza Live on the Street at the intersection of business and politics. In the meantime, stay safe, stay happy, be good, and good night, everybody.